Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday, the 26th of July. We continue with our readings from Robert Murray McShane, and we read today Judges chapter 9. Now, Gideon had freed Israel from the Midianites, and then he had led them. And Gideon himself had a number of wives, and he ended up with 70 sons. In chapter 9, we read that Abimelech, one of his sons, he went to his mother's brothers in Shechem and said to them, and to all his mother's clan, ask all the citizens of Shechem, which is better for you, to have all 70 of Jerubbaal or Gideon's sons rule over you, or just one man? Remember, I am your flesh and blood. And so they decided it'll be better to have just him. They raise some money, he gets a band of mercenaries and goes and to his father's home in Ophrah, and we're told, and on one stone he murdered his 70 brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal or Gideon. And so he starts leading with bloodshed. It's not too long before the people of Shechem fall out with him and then attack him. And then there's conflict, and he ends up killing a whole lot of people, and eventually he goes and attacks a city and he gets killed. And as I read that, I thought that is so in line with human nature, where we look after our own narrow self-interest and what's best for us, and that drives our behavior. And we look at what goes on in South Africa this last couple of weeks, largely driven by narrow self-interest. People looking at what's best for them and their little group rather than what's best for everyone. And that really is a challenge. And the second reading we had is from Acts chapter 13, which is so different, where people, instead of looking after narrow self-interests, are guided by the Holy Spirit. Now, we're told in Antioch, where Paul and Barnabas were, there were a number of leaders, Barnabas, Simeon called Niger, Lucian of Cyrene, Manaen, and Saul. And they were praying together, and we're told in verse 2, while they were worshipping the Lord and fasting, the Lord said, set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them. So after they fasted and prayed, they placed their hands on them and sent them off. And as they went off, they took the gospel, went and spread the gospel, and planted churches, and people were converted. I thought it's just such a different perspective and way of life to be guided by God rather than led by narrow self-interest. And as Christians, that is our challenge, to recognize our natural inclination is towards selfishness, but we are called to let the Spirit guide us and lead us, challenge us and use us. So I pray that you would have a sense of God working through you, raising you above what the rest of the world might think is normal, so that we can live in the way God calls us. Be challenged by that. And as we do it, we know that we're blessed.